morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to be taking a little bit of a look at, well, Pokemon V. You see, Pokemon V make me rather excited, but they're a little bit different. They are not exactly the same as Pokemon GXs and EXs, and I think we finally got time to actually sit down and look at the differences between them. Now, the first thing we need to point out here, and this is going to be very obvious, they're not Pokemon GX, they're Pokemon V. Now, the upshot of this isn't a huge amount to begin with. They still give up 2 prizes, and they don't really have anything else special about them. They are, to all intents and purposes, old-style EXs. So the old Regirock EX and the new Regirock V, I mean, they're not very different, if I'm honest with you, alright? Yeah, sure, the HP's gone up a bit and the attacks and all are different, but they're just big, bulky Pokemon that give up 2 prizes. Now, the fact of the matter is, we've seen 5 Pokemon V, and we've seen bits of Zacian and Zamazenta. It's not a fair comparison, alright? They're not exactly the same. We've seen heavily redacted versions of them. We actually know that they both have abilities, we just don't know what those abilities are. We believe that Zamazenta has immunity from Pokemon V Max, but we don't even know what Pokemon V Max is. And this is not a Pokemon V Max prediction video. Maybe we'll do one of them in the future. We're going to stick a pin in Pokemon V Max and come back when we know a little bit more. Or when we're in the mood to speculate a little bit more. But we don't know their attack costs, their weakness, their resistance, their retreat costs, their typing, etc. So we don't know a huge amount about them. But here's what we know about the 7 Pokemon V that we've seen so far. They are all legendary Pokemon, and they are all basic Pokemon. Does that mean they'll all be basics going forward? Nope. Does this mean they'll all be legendaries going forward? Nope. Now, EX's, Big E, Big X, they were all basics, but if you go back a few years, EX's, Little E, Little X, they were not all basics. Yeah, there was a Regirock EX, and that was a basic, but old Wailord EX, Little E, Little X, was a stage 1, as opposed to Wailord Big E, Big X, which was a basic. So we don't know if we are going to have evolutions at our Pokemon V. If we do get evolutions, we don't know if they're going to be true evolutions or evolutions as basics. And we don't know if it's going to be restricted to legendaries. Now, Prism Stars have been, with all kinds of stuff like Solgaleo and Lunala, with the sole exception of Ditto Prism Star. Ditto Prism Star is a regular Pokemon that came around as a Prism Star, and it's the only one that did. All the others were legendaries. Cool. Unfortunately, with Pokemon V, we don't know enough to really make a big determination. We've seen 5, and most of the other 2, and all we can do is extrapolate, but extrapolating really doesn't tell us much. If we'd have looked at the first few Prism Stars and gone, hey, are they all going to be basics and legendaries? Yes, and mostly. But if we'd have done that with GXs, oh my goodness, no! We had a whole bunch of evolutions, though no Wailord GX, which makes me really sad. We had Magikarp and Wailord, but that's not a GX, that's a tag team GX, that ain't the same. Now, the other thing is, are there going to be any extra mechanics here? And the answer is yes and no. Now, we know there's no extra mechanic on Pokemon V, the cards, because if there was, we'd have seen it on the 5 we saw this weekend. Links to all of those in the description, incidentally. But we know that Pokemon V Max is a thing. We just don't know what that's going to be. Is it going to be for every Pokemon? Or is it just going to be for some Pokemon? Like how Groudon could Mega Evolve into Mega Groudon EX, or Groudon EX could, But Wailord couldn't because there was no Mega. We don't know. Maybe it'll be for all of them. Maybe it will just be for some. That's another one that we're going to have to wait and see just a little bit. But the thing that we do know, and I'm going to go back to what I said at the beginning of the video, as obvious as it sounds, they are not Pokemon GX. And this brings in some really good things and some kind of annoying things. One of my favourite things about this, Shrine of Punishment. You see, Shrine of Punishment puts 1 damage counter on Pokemon EX and GX between turns, yours and your opponent's. Well, if I want to use Regirock EX, well, he's taking a damage counter between turns, but Regirock V is not. So I can actually play Shrine of Punishment with Regirock V, or any of the other Pokemon V, and we expect Shrine of Punishment probably to rotate out in September, or maybe in August right before Worlds like it did this year, or the rotation happened this year. But that still gives us from either November or February, when Pokemon V first come out. We know we're getting them in Sun and Moon in February. We may well be getting these extra ones. The 5 that have been revealed are actually in Pokemon V decks over in Japan. They're not in the set proper. So there is a possibility we do actually get them a little bit earlier. But there's going to be a period of time where you can play these 2 prize Pokemon, and you can play them with Shrine of Punishment and not get damaged. In the same way that when GXs came out, we could use Bridget to search 3 GXs or 1 EX. But Shrine of Punishment is not the only advantage you're getting here. Now, it has rotated out, but it's still relevant in Expanded. Your opponent will not be able to do an extra 30 damage with Choice Band. Well, that's quite nice. But if we keep it in things that haven't rotated out, how about Power Plant and, to that end, Glaceon, that turn off the abilities of GX Pokemon? Well, you're not a GX Pokemon. Now, to be fair, the 5 we've seen so far haven't been shown of abilities, but like I've said, we know that Zacian and Zamazenta are having abilities, and they will not be turned off by Power Plant, and they will not be turned off by Glaceon, so that's kind of brilliant. It's a very niche card, but Beast Bringer will allow an Ultra Beast to get an extra prize on a Pokemon EX or GX if you've got exactly 6 prizes remaining. Great news! You're not a GX or an EX, doesn't help. Choice Helmet will not reduce the damage you do by 30, and one of my favourite things here is that the Fairy Charms will not grant immunity. Now, just the other day I made a video about Fairy Charms and how good they are and how much of an advantage they give to Fairy Pokemon, and I meant it. But I tell you what, it's going to be great for Pokemon V. There is a Fairy Charm fighting, and I'm getting extremely excited about Regirock V. But it doesn't matter. Regirock V can ignore fighting memory and just go right through it. These are good advantages that Pokemon V have that Pokemon GX don't. And there are a couple of things they lose, but it's nowhere near as relevant. Now, technically you have Olivia. It's rotated out and no one kind of played it anyway, but it searches 2 GXs. We are losing it. One of the things that kind of sucks is Electromagnetic Radar. It lets you search for 2 Pokemon GX or EX that are Lightning type if you discard 2 cards from your hand. And the relevance of this is that Pikachu and Zekrom / Raichu and Alolan Raichu are very good right now. Except we're getting Tapu Koko V, and that is going to fit just beautifully into these decks. It's got free retreat, and for free energy it does more damage than the others. Now, Pikachu and Zekrom also accelerates energy. Raichu and Alolan Raichu also gets paralysis. But if you're just looking for just basic damage, it's this. Tapu Koko V is the best one of the 3. But you can't search it with Electromagnetic Radar, which is slightly disappointing. But the 2 big losses, firstly, Cherish Ball. Cherish Ball lets you search for any Pokemon GX. In the format we're in at the moment, where Pokemon search is at a premium, yeah, We kind of need this. This is kind of important. So not having it is actually a bit of a kick in the teeth, to use a very British expression. But the other thing you're losing is Island Challenge Amulet. Now, Island Challenge Amulet isn't even out yet, but it's coming out in Cosmic Eclipse, and if you attach it to a Pokemon GX, you lose 100 maximum HP, but you also give up one fewer prize. And honestly, I would think this is phenomenal if you combined it with Victini V. Victini V's got a beautiful attack that lets you attach free basic fire energy from your discard pile to your Pokemon in any way that you like, which is great as a setup attack, but you can't have a 2-prize Pokemon that only has 190 HP, only, using a setup attack. It's not a great way to go about doing things. Whereas whacking an Island Challenge Amulet on and then accelerating free energy with your attack would be wonderful. Not an option. It's a little bit sad. I still think the bonuses of not being a GX Pokemon really outweigh the downsides. I mean, you've also got all kinds of stuff like Alolan Ninetales, which are there to counter your GXs. They're immune, or Alolan Ninetales is. But this goes right through and doesn't care. I mean, for my money, being able to use Shrine of Punishment, whilst avoiding all these things that are supposed to be immune, slow them down, etc., really is brilliant. And other than Island Challenge Amulet, all you really lose is a couple of search options. And you've got to think that Sword and Shield, at least, if not Cosmic Eclipse, are going to bring some more Pokemon search options. Frankly, ladies and gentlemen, I think Pokemon V are a great idea, at least in terms of giving you a competitive advantage, because the format at the moment is in a lot of ways trying to be stacked against Pokemon GX, although it's not really working, because they're still dominating. But now you can have 2-prize Pokemon, not free like tag teams, that are super powerful, but avoid all the tricks that are supposed to be used against them. I, for one, am fairly excited, but I'd like to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't even have any Pokemon in. And do please make sure you have a check in the description, where you can find videos about all the Pokemon V revealed so far, even Zacian and Zamazenta, for what we know of them. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.